what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Welcome to episode 4, volume 3 of the Fantasy Formula, the hottest sports podcast in all of Western North Carolina, creeping into living rooms across the world. At this time, I'd like to introduce our starting lineup for the Fantasy Formula today. On the wheels of steel, the executive producer extraordinaire, he's Magic Hands, Chris Fry. And 2 weeks running, sitting on my right, looking to put Addison on the bench forever. He's the real estate mogul of Hickory, North Carolina. He's the one, the only. He's Hank Eimer.
Glad to be back.
Hank, glad to have you back, sir.
I appreciate that.
And of course, in the main seat here today, the pigskin professional, the gridiron guru, he's your man, the hitman, Chad East. All right, Hank, we got some good stuff today. But before we get started, I do want to introduce, we have a full-time sponsor for the first time this year.
Look at you.
Very exciting stuff, very exciting stuff. We'd like to say thank you to our sponsor. It's the Greater Hickory Kia Classic at Rock Barn Spa and Golf Resort. You've been there many a times.
Awesome.
Beautiful
awesome
place.
Place.
Beautiful place. The tournament this year will be held October 14th through the 20th. Fred Funk, who I have played golf with in a Pro-Am, will be defending his title this year in Hickory. Should be a great weekend. Can't wait. Just a few weeks away till it kicks off, Hank.
Great.
Awesome. Y'all need any more news about the Greater Hickory Kia Classic? Check them out. GreaterHickoryKiaClassic.com. Thank you, sponsor. And with that being said, brother, one other tidbit of information, Hank. Breaking news. Was informed yesterday. This little old show called the Fantasy Formula might be, possibly today, front page, iTunes, the little thing at the top that says shows that we recommend. Boom. Fantasy Formula could be staring at you today, Hank.
Not hidden on the 6th page.
Not hidden. Right there.
Front page.
Well, listen, y'all go check it out. It might be hidden on the 6th page. I don't know. It's going to be somewhere on iTunes. So anyway, wow.
Hey, that's big news.
We're moving on up, brother.
Hey,
we're moving on
I'm excited
up.
for you.
And we're doing it all without Addison, which makes it even better.
Yay!
Where you at, Ad? Where you at? All right, so without further ado, brother, we had a great draft last weekend.
Awesome.
Davey drives a Hummer. This is our 11th year Hickory Standard League format. And we kicked it off Saturday, 3 o'clock-ish. Nice cornhole tournament.
Took one of them.
Did you win one?
Absolutely.
Great. Actually, there were 2 of them. I finished in last in both, which normally doesn't happen to me. I'm not bragging on my skills in cornhole, but normally I'm at least challenging for the championship. However, got stuck with a really bad partner.
I was getting ready to ask, who were we partnering
really
with?
Bad partner.
Can we let that out?
Mr. William Rowland
Okay.
was my partner, and it just really wasn't happening for him, you know?
Gotta
First
have
game,
flow between the two.
Yeah, normally we got good vibe together. It just really wasn't happening this day, but we'll get him next year, Will. No worries. We'll get him next year. But after the cornhole tournament, we break into our draft. It normally starts about 6:30-ish.
Can I add something right here?
Please.
Probably one of the best introductions I've ever heard to a fantasy draft. I got to tell you, if anybody... I would tell you, I wish we had video of it because you are amazing. I really got to say, with you on the mic to start that thing,
Very nice.
It brought up the energy. I think everybody was just highly amused. The Ring of Champions, always great. Love to see those haters turning their back.
That's right.
Tuck, I'm talking to you. I think there were several more. But I just wanted to congratulate you on the energy you brought and that pep talk, man.
Ooh.
You could that could be in a
Hairs will stand up on your arms when you hear that.
that could be in a locker room one day. I got to tell you, Olivia's going to get pumped
I
up.
love it. Yeah, one day. Maybe we'll save it for the show. Maybe the last Fantasy Formula this year, maybe we can try to relive that moment.
I hope so.
We'll try to do that because, Hank, I'm hoping another thing I want to talk about, we'll talk about it a little bit at the end, but y'all send your emails in to info@themesh.tv. We're taking votes on if Hank should become the full-time host of the Fantasy Formula, replacing Addison Fox. So we want to hear, if all you have to do is send in Hank or Addison. Send it to info@themesh.tv. We're trying to make a push for Hank being full-time, kicking Addison straight to the curb. So with that being said, let's go and start talking about our draft. Davey drives a Hummer 2013. Hank, it started off, and we're going to talk about your selection in the first round. Throughout the rounds, you actually had number 2 pick. That's right, number 2 pick. And I actually had, this will be interesting because I had the 11 pick. So we're going to talk about what you had on your side of the draft, what I had on my side of the draft, and we'll talk about other picks that were throughout the entire draft. So with let's start with you, Hank. You had the number 2 pick. Off the board at number 1, everybody's number 1 pick so far this year was AP was gone. So what did you decide to do at number 2?
Well, I wanted to get a back. And knowing the backs that were left, the next 5 all kind of had question marks, that whether it's their upside, was it injury, was it their team? I wasn't sure. So, like I said last week on this show, CJ Spiller, I felt had a ton of upside with an offensive coordinator that says that they're going to give him the ball till he pukes. Every game. That's what you want to hear as a fantasy owner. Sure. And so at number 2, I took CJ Spiller with the hope that he's going to be everything that his team needs him to be. Now, the only question mark I have is quarterback. EJ Manuel's hurt right now a little bit, and there's that question mark with that. But I do feel like he's going to be the man. I feel like he's going to get the ball a lot. Arian Foster scared me away. Doug Martin, I like, but I just went with CJ Spiller. I felt he had a great upside.
Crazy upside, like we mentioned last week on the Fantasy Formula. CJ Spiller, at the end of the year, if all things go okay, he could be the number 1 point-producing running back in the entire fantasy football this year. He's got that much upside. He's a touchdown waiting to happen on any play.
Right.
Break an 80-yarder, catch one out of the backfield, take it the distance. So I like the pick. To me, I remember when you made the pick, I was like, wow, I thought you were going to draft Doug Martin. I really did. I was like, he's going to draft Doug Martin. When Spiller went up there, I was kind of shocked. But, Doug Martin, C.J. Spiller, Jamal Charles, to me, you can put them all in what direct order you want to put.
Right.
So that was a risky pick, C.J. Spiller. I hope it works out for you. It could help you make the playoffs, there's no doubt. At number 3, Doug Martin came in, followed by Jamal Charles in the 4th spot. LaShawn McCoy, a little early at 5. However, the fella that drafted him, Homer LT, who was on the Fantasy Formula last weekend, loves his Philadelphia Eagles. I think you may have called that too. I think last week you may have said LaShawn McCoy might go to wherever LT is. So he went off the board at 5 a little early. LaShawn McCoy could be a good pick, just a tad early for me. Marshawn Lynch, number 6, followed by Trent Richardson, Ray Rice, Alfred Morris went to the champ, our last year's champ, Josh Elder at number 9. Aaron Rodgers, first quarterback on the board at 10, and my spot at 11. Arian Foster falls all the way to 11. Hank, I had to grab him. There's so many injury questions about him right now, but at 11. If he's not, if you don't hear all the stuff through the media about his injury, he's number 2 or 3 off everybody's board.
Absolutely.
And he falls to 11, so I was really patting myself on the back when he fell all the way to 11. At 12, wrapping up our first round, again, we're a standard league, 12-team fantasy league, and Matt Forte went in the 12th spot. Solid selection at 12. He catches some balls out of the backfield, and he'll also in store for some big runs or some big running days as well this year. So that wrapped up round 1. Anything else that you want to talk about in round 1 that kind of was surprising or you thought had good value beside that Arian Foster pick? Because I know you love that one.
I got to tell you, the Arian Foster was the most surprising pick, definitely, because, who would have thought that he would fall to 11? Exactly. No one. Exactly. I think, the question is, we usually would have seen a quarterback go much earlier. Mm-hmm. We saw Paul Breeding take Aaron Rodgers, which is no surprise in our league. As you see his draft board, he's got every Packer that can catch a ball or throw a ball or run a ball in his thing. He does. But it's going to be interesting. I always feel like a quarterback he guarantees 30 to 50 points on his first-round draft pick, which is huge. Mm-hmm. And so I like that pick there. I know he's a homer, but, some of these guys are going to be a bust. Jamal Charles could break his leg. Sure. I think Aaron Rodgers was a solid pick there, I feel like.
The great thing about Paul, who is the big Green Bay fan that drafted Aaron Rodgers, He drafted right before me, so
You knew he was taking him.
And so I knew exactly what he was going to do, and I knew Arian Foster sliding down the board. If he could get by 9, I knew I would get him at 11. So when I saw Alfred Morris go at 9, Paul next, knew he was going with Aaron Rodgers. I knew Arian Foster would slide to me 11. So anyway, I was very happy with that first round. Let's go hit the second round real quick, Hank. The first pick of round 2 went to Chris Johnson. So the guy in the 12th spot, C.J. Hines, drafted Forte and Chris Johnson. Not too bad. This guy, C.J., always wants his running backs, and he got 2 of them. Chris Johnson a little bit worried about, but in that Tennessee offense, but he's got the athletic ability and potential to be a really, really good pick this year. So the next pick was my pick in the second spot of round 2. We haven't seen a wide receiver come off the board yet, and what do you know? Calvin Johnson falls to the second pick of round 2, Hank. I don't know if you remember, but I came out of the war room, and I was kind of like doing little cartwheels, and I was dancing a jig because my draft started Arian Foster and Calvin Johnson. Crazy.
Who would have thought that 11 would have had those two guys, especially not 11 in 14?
Yes.
I mean, that
exactly.
Yeah,
Remember,
right.
I was complaining how terrible 11 was last week, and it worked out. Just things fell together. And sometimes in drafts, ladies and gentlemen, things just fall together very nicely.
You could have done 20 mock drafts. It would never would have gone that way.
Completely agree. Next pick following Megatron was Steven Jackson, goes to our Green Bay friend Paul Breeding. Steven Jackson and Aaron Rodgers is his team now. Drew Brees, next pick off the board. Quarterback New Orleans Saints, the second quarterback off the board, followed by A.J. Green, Dez Bryant, Brandon Marshall, DeMarco Murray, Julio Jones. So we saw a lot of wide receivers go in round 2. MJD, third to last pick of round 2, followed by your pick, Reggie Bush, in the second to last spot, round 2. Tell me about Reggie Bush there.
Well, I think that this is going to be one of my picks that make or break me.
Okay.
I feel like Detroit has a ton of weapons. I don't feel like they've had a back there that can really prove themselves.
They haven't.
So this was my kind of not reach. I like Reggie Bush. He helped me 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. But this is kind of my stretch to say if they're going to have a back that produces and produces well, mm-hmm. this is going to be their guy, because I feel like you can only put 8 guys on Megatron.
Right.
Somebody else is going to do the work,
sure.
And they're certainly not going to pack the line knowing that Megatron's out there. So I kind of feel like he's got the potential to be great, mm-hmm. and I'm glad that I have him, but he's going to be a definite question mark, and if he has a good year, I feel like I'm going to have a good year.
Sure, I agree with that. The one thing I would say in a PPR league, Reggie Bush to me, home run right there. Home run. He's going to catch 70 balls easily with all the people checking Megatron, as you mentioned. Matt Stafford loves to throw the ball. He's going to check down to Reggie Bush. That's 70 balls. We are not PPR. We're standard league. I think that hurts Reggie Bush a little bit. I know what you're saying. You make or break with Reggie Bush, and we'll see if that pans out. I would love him a little bit more if he's PPR. The last pick of round 2, that was Demaryius Thomas. So the guy who had the number 1 pick started with AP, gets Demaryius Thomas, which great value late round 2, and follows up first pick of round 3 with Larry Fitzgerald. So not a bad start for the guy drafting number 1, Demaryius Thomas and Larry Fitzgerald. Hank, we're back to you in round 3. You go quarterback Peyton Manning in the third round, second spot. Tell me about Peyton.
Well,
why you want him?
Same argument I had with Aaron Rodgers. With my third pick, if I can guarantee, now he's not going to have your 55 points per game that Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers are going to have. But if you looked statistically last year, he had more 30-point games than anybody.
Absolutely.
So if I can get that out of my third spot, mm-hmm. Now my breaking point right there was if I could get one of those 3, and I think I said it last week too, if I could get one of those 3
mm-hmm.
on 2-3, I'm going to get them. And so that's just what my plan was, and I went with it because I felt like that was going to be the most value for my team at that point.
Gotcha. I noticed in the next spot, Jimmy Graham went the third spot, round 3. Did you ever have any thoughts of Jimmy Graham in that 2-hole there?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, because it was the thought process was, and when you're looking at my draft, I would have changed knowing what happened. I got Manning so much later. I got Eli so much later. So I ended up changing that mentality of that first 3. If Peyton would have gone one person ahead of me, I would have had Jimmy Graham, and then my quarterback would have come down in round 8.
Got it.
Somewhere in there.
Gotcha. Good explanation there. Yeah, I like the Peyton pick. I think he's going to have a great year. Very solid and consistent. Again, maybe not the 55-point games as you mentioned, but he's going to give you 30 every week.
Right.
You can count on it.
Count on it.
Jimmy Graham, next spot behind Peyton. Love the pick in round 3. Jimmy Graham, to me, is a late round 2, early round 3 selection, so he goes right in the right spot. I wish he was on my team. I expect great things from Jimmy Graham. Guys, if you can get him round 2, early round 3, you got to take him. Don't let him slip. Next pick, Stephen Ridley, New England running back, off your board, followed by Andre Johnson, Frank Gore, David Wilson, Darren McFadden, Darren Sproles, Randall Cobb, another Green Bay guy, gone to our guy Paul Breeding. So that's 3 picks, 2 Green Bay players, followed by Vincent Jackson. Vincent Jackson was my pick round 3. Now, I struggled with this. I really did. I really wanted a running back, but the running backs that were left on the board, I didn't feel deserved a 3rd round selection, okay? Like the Giovanni Bernards, the Lamar Millers, who else was going there? I think David Wilson was already gone. So anyway, there really wasn't a running back that I really thought warranted the 3rd round pick.
Right.
So it was down to a wide receiver. Wide receivers on the board were Vincent, Victor Cruz, Roddy White, Dwayne Bowes, those kind of cats. To be quite honest, and I'll be deadly honest with you, I had marked Roddy White off my board already, okay? For some reason, I thought he was already chosen. So I saw Vincent Jackson. I grabbed him, sat back down, and I heard somebody talking to me right to the right of me saying, Roddy White's still on the board, whispering to someone else, right?
Right.
So CJ has got the guy right behind us. He drafts Victor Cruz, and I'm thinking Roddy White goes in the next hole. Matt Ryan goes. So then Roddy White falls in the 4th round, Hank.
Unbelievable.
Vincent Jackson and Roddy White. Anyway, that's how the first few picks for my team went, and I was, like I said, I was doing cartwheels at this moment.
You should be.
Yeah, I was.
You've had a good draft to
Pouring
this
beer on my
point.
head, popping champagne. It was on. So let's review that 4th round real quick. Second to last pick was me with Vincent Jackson, followed by Victor Cruz. That was the last pick of round 3. First pick, round 4, Matt Ryan, quarterback, Atlanta Falcon goes. And then I get who he's going to be throwing to, Roddy White, second pick, round 4. Really love what was happening so far with my draft. Following round 4, Torrey Smith, Baltimore Raven wide receiver, Dwayne Bowe, Tom Brady. He goes in the 4th round. I thought there was value there. Round 4. Lamar Miller, question mark here in round 4. I guess if you need a running back, you go Lamar Miller, and you got to get him in round 4 or 5. But big question mark for me for Lamar Miller.
Right. I agree.
Next pick, Giovanni Bernard. The thing we didn't mention about this draft, this is a rookie keeper. First year we've instituted this rookie keeper. So if you draft a rookie, you get to keep your rookie at the same round that you drafted them the next year. No questions asked. So first rookie goes off the board, round 4.
How many people out there like this cat because of Hard Knocks? How many?
90%.
How many people?
They saw him. They don't know. Half of the country doesn't know who Giovanni Bernard is.
No.
I'm telling you. We know him here because he went to University of North Carolina.
Right.
And so we followed him. The dude, he broke NC State's heart last year. I mean, the dude is a playmaker. But without Hard Knocks, nobody knows who this guy would be.
Absolutely not.
He would typically, without Hard Knocks, I would say he would be drafted. Instead of round 4 and 5 where he's been drafted, I'd say around 7 or 8.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
When he went off the board, I immediately was like, that guy his draft status has been helped by Hard Knocks.
No doubt about it. Speaking of, we're taping this show or podcasting here on a Wednesday. Did you watch Hard Knocks last night?
I did not.
It's very good. Very good show. It's only got 1 episode left. They're coming down to all the cuts.
Right.
Dude, to be a head coach, and even these players, for months, they have been busting their ass. And then one day, cut,
right.
Gone. That is a tough life to live, but
well, and some of these teams, it's not like you're cutting 1 or 2. I mean, at some point they got to get down to 53,
yes.
and they're at 75.
They're 75, right
and by the 31st, I mean, I don't know how many people follow this. Austin Johnson, backup fullback from Hickory High, went to Tennessee. He's backup fullback. How many teams are carrying 2 fullbacks?
So true.
And so it's going to be tough. The 31st, I think, is the day he finds out.
That's
and
exactly
so
right.
I mean, to be in this position, what a tough job.
There's no doubt. You've got to not only know your position, but you got to make it on special teams. A lot of these guys make it on special teams,
right.
So you've got to wear a bunch of different hats. Hey, good luck to Austin Johnson, Hickory boy. I hope he brings it home. New Orleans Saints, good job. Round 4, we'll wrap it up here. It went after Bernard, Hakeem Nicks, Wes Welker, Cam Newton, quarterback, off the board, your Carolina Panther in round 4, followed by Marcus Colston. Now, Hank, this is your pick, round 4. It's a Saint. You know, we love Saints on this program because all they do is score fantasy points. Tell me about Marcus Colston and why.
All right, just exactly what you said. I think Breeze with Peyton this year, they are going to freak out.
Yeah.
And I think Colston is going to be the man to do it. I think there's so many weapons. Jimmy Graham is going to get a ton of attention. Sproles coming out of the backfield is going to get a ton of attention. I think Colston is going to be a solid one receiver.
You know, I think Colston is the most underrated wide receiver in fantasy football. Nobody talks about him, but he gets you at least 10 to 12 every week.
Every week.
Every week. You know, he's solid. So fourth round value, especially he's a Saint. You want Saints on your team. Good pick, round 4. The last pick, round 4, was Eddie Lacy, Green Bay running back. Let's talk about him just for a second. He is shooting up draft boards very, very quickly. It's crazy. About 2 weeks ago, we did a draft. He fell into the 9th round. Now he's in round 4. He's a rookie. Giovanni Bernard against Eddie Lacy. Who do you want and why? Let's sum it up in 15 seconds. Who do you think?
I go by team,
Yes.
and I'd rather have Eddie Lacy, just because I think the Packers are going to be a more impressive team and give him the opportunity to succeed.
I'm with that. Yep, exactly. Eddie Lacy, if I had to pick between he and Bernard, it's Eddie Lacy all day. Look for him for at least 8 touchdowns. He's their goal line back too, man. I don't know if you read yesterday, the backup, his name was DeJuan Harris or something like that ran for Green Bay, out for the year. They put him on injury reserve. He's done. So now Eddie Lacy, he's going to get more of the workload. So anyway, it's a great pick in round 4. Will Rowland, good job there. All right, round 5, here we go. A little bit of a shocking pick, round 5. Rob Gronkowski, tight end, New England Patriots, off the board. Now, I love him. Round 5, thought maybe a round too early. However, they're saying he's not going to be week 1, possibly week 2, but probably week 3. What do you think about Gronkowski, knowing he's going to be out for 3 weeks-ish?
I agree with you. I would have felt like he would have fallen, and I would have loved to have had him a couple rounds later, because when he comes back, if he stays healthy, he's going to catch a ton of touchdowns.
Tons and tons. Tom Brady loves throwing to him, and that dude loves catching touchdowns. So.
That guy, he loves it.
Wow. So anyway, that was the first pick of round 5. Hank, we're back to you here. Second pick of round 2. Fantasy Nostradamus 2 is his name, and he selects Ryan Matthews, running back, San Diego. Now, we paused. I remember you put him up on the board, and everybody kind of hesitated for a second because I know this firsthand. Ryan Matthews, I drafted him last 2 years, like round 1 or 2, and this dude has been a dud, a complete flop. So when I see his name, it's almost like mud to me, you know? So you put him up there, I want to boo, but in the 5th round, you needed a running back, and you chose Matthews. Why?
Well, like you said, I needed a starting back. He's the one. He's still the one in San Diego, and everybody's talking about how much they like him. Mm-hmm. I've seen him in some preseason games. We talked about last week that he's a fumble addict.
Yes.
I saw him go in the end zone, went over the pile, touchdown. Next opportunity, went over the pile, fumbled the ball. Okay. So, I mean, in the first breath, I'm cheering. The next one, I'm crying. Yeah. But I needed a number 1. He's a number 1. Yeah. Him, like Reggie Bush, my backs could be either really good or really bad. Yeah. And I need him to produce. It's like you said, he could be really good, really bad.
The other backs that went in this round were Daryl Richardson, Ahmad Bradshaw, Shane Vereen, and Rashard Mendenhall. Oh, Monte Ball, too. You like Matthews over all those guys?
Well, I think right now, some of those other ones I felt like are going to split more time. And so, in the backfield, it's even more a crowded backfield. I think Ryan Matthews, it's his to lose. Yeah. And so, I do. And I think Phillip Rivers has to make this year a statement for him. So if his team's going to be good, I like Matthews to be good. So, I'm hoping that Phillip Rivers has a good year this year because it's only going to help.
You sold me on that, dude. Yeah, you just sold me on Matthews, and I like Phillip Rivers. So good work there, Hank. Man, if Matthews has the potential to be, he got drafted in the first round. He was drafted to be the running back for this team and take them to the Super Bowl. Do you remember when he got drafted? San Diego was still competing. They were good.
They were getting rid of LaDainian because of him.
Exactly. So he's got the skill set to do it. Let's just see if he turns it in now. So
hold on to that ball.
Yes,
hold on to
that ball, boy. So the next pick, Antonio Brown went round 5, pick 3, followed by Daryl Richardson, St. Louis running back. Danny Amendola goes next. Reggie Wayne, Pierre Wee Garçon goes in the 7th hole, round 5. Jason Witten, tight end off your board, 3rd tight end off your board there in round 5. Ahmad Bradshaw, Monte Ball, rookie running back. There's another rookie for our rookie keeper league that goes 10th spot, round 5. Shane Vereen not really falls to me in the 11th hole. Hank, I like Shane Vereen, but I hated this pick. I was thinking, I've started my draft with a solid running back, 3 wide receivers. I really need a running back to get everything going here.
Right.
I didn't want Rashard Mendenhall. I've had him before. I think he's a little bit old and tired. I wanted somebody new. And we talked about Shane Vereen last week.
Yep.
The only thing, I love Shane Vereen in PPR, kind of like Reggie Bush, because he's going to catch balls out of the backfield. But to be honest, he really is only a third down back because Stephen Ridley gets the carries. Unless they line Shane Vereen up in the slot or something, which they may do, I could get round 5 value, but I feel like I reached a little bit. I really didn't know what else to do. I'll just be completely honest with you. I wasn't ready to pick quarterback in that spot because I know the guy behind me he already had Matt Ryan, so he's not looking quarterback.
Right.
So I grabbed Shane Vereen. Hopefully it works out. He'll be my RB2. We'll see what happens this year. Next pick, Rashard Mendenhall went right after Shane Vereen to wrap up round 5. Anything there, round 5, that stood out to you, buddy?
Well, I think the Gronkowski is either going to be a blessing or a curse. I mean, at round 5, you can still get some starting. You're still getting your starting players, and to take somebody like Gronkowski, you got to feel real good about it. And if he comes back, it's going to be huge for Will.
It could make his team really good. You got AP, Gronkowski, Fitzgerald, and Demaryius Thomas. Ooh, that's a pretty nasty team.
Yep.
The one I want to point out real quick, Ahmad Bradshaw. He goes 2 spots in front of me. I really wanted Ahmad to fall to me in the 11th hole, 5th round. The Colts are going to have to run if Bradshaw can stay healthy. There's Vic Ballard in the backfield there, a couple other dudes, but they signed Bradshaw to run the ball, to help Luck. I think he'll run the ball as long as he's healthy. So I wanted him to fall. He didn't. 2 spots in front of me, so I go Vereen. Here we go, round 6. Jordy Nelson goes first pick round 6, and then it's back to me. All right. I feel after the debacle that happened to me in the fantasy football draft 2 weeks ago where I waited on my quarterback and they all got snapped up in round 5 and 6, there was not one left. I grabbed Matthew Stafford, round 6, second pick, Detroit Lion quarterback. Expect great things from Matt Stafford. I thought that was not necessarily great value round 6. That's where he should be taken. If I didn't get him there, he wasn't coming back.
No, he wouldn't have been back to you.
I penciled Matthew Stafford in to be a top 10 quarterback. I got him in round 6. My team's starting to come together. I've got my 2 running backs, got 3 wide receivers, and I've got my quarterback. I'm feeling pretty good about my team here in round 6, Hank. Next up, BJE, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis goes off the board, followed by Steve Smith from Carolina. He goes in that 4th spot, round 6. D'Angelo Williams, big news out of Carolina. Jonathan Stewart, I think, is on the PUP list.
Right.
So 6 weeks, I think. 6 or 7 weeks. So that means D'Angelo, number 1 workhorse from Carolina's backfield.
Right.
Not bad value, round 6. Next, quarterback. We see the run of quarterback start here. We saw Matthew Stafford go second pick, round 6. Now here goes Andrew Luck off the board. Next up, RG3 off the board, followed by Chris Ivory, Le'Veon Bell, Cecil Shorts, T.Y. Hilton, and to wrap up round 6, Russell Wilson goes off the board. Let's talk about T.Y. real quick, Hank. Your pick in round 6.
I love him. I know we've talked about it. I love him. I think he is going to catch a ton of balls. He is lightning fast. And when he fell to me, the grin on my face, you couldn't stop me because I wanted him on my team, and to get him, I feel like that was good value for me right there, and so I'm happy with that pick.
Love the pick. He's also got Reggie Wayne, who's a veteran, such a professional, to teach T.Y. Hilton the ways, of that Indianapolis offense, and I love that pick. Look for T.Y. Hilton, guys. If you can get him round 6, just scoop him up because he will be, mark my word, a top 15 wide receiver this year, no doubt about it. He will be a star in a few years. The pick that goes right before T.Y., that's the Cecil Shorts pick. We gave Jeremy he drafted Jeremy East. That's my brother. He drafted right before Hank. Probably one of the worst drafts I've ever seen in my life. But Cecil Shorts, do you know anything about Cecil Shorts? I know that they don't have a quarterback to throw to him.
No,
right?
No.
I mean, maybe a little early for Cecil.
Maybe a lot early. Maybe a lot early.
And before we move round 6, let's talk about the quarterbacks that went. Matthew Stafford, Luck, RG3, and Russell Wilson all go in that round. Rank them in the order that you like them, Hank.
I like Stafford and Luck. Okay, me too. I think those are 2 great quarterbacks. I think they're going to be right there with each other. They're going to produce. They're going to be dependable. They're going to be good. RG3, year 2, that's always the determining factor.
ACL.
Round 2, year 2. is the gimmick over? Are people going to realize how to play him?
Right.
So, I mean, that's the next question. And then Russell Wilson's the same thing.
I'm with you.
You know, I love Seattle. Seattle's going to be in the game because their defense is so good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is he going to be the man to do it in the second year? We'll see. He's a great competitor.
Yeah, great competitor, but that doesn't necessarily win you fantasy
Nope.
football games. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
I thought it was a little early for Russell. I love him too, but a little early in RG3. I'm like you, man. Too much risk. They don't even know if he's going to start week 1.
Right.
So a little.
He
risky.
says he is.
He's been saying that since the day after he tore his ACL, but which is great. I mean, he's a hardworking fellow,
Right.
And I wish him the best. I hope it works out, but that's just a lot of risk in round 6. All right, next up, round 7, we'll fly. We got Mark Ingram that goes. Eric Deckard falls all the way to round 7 to you, Hank. I mean, you got to be smiling on that pick too.
I am. And you know, and not to say anything about Cecil Shorts, but to have those two come after that cat. I mean,
Cecil.
I'm happy. I've got my third receiver who's going to score a ton. Peyton's going to throw to him a ton. I was happy as I could be.
Yeah, great pick there. Next up, after the Eric Decker pick in round 7, we saw Greg Jennings go off the board, Minnesota's wide receiver. Deshaun Jackson next. Colin Kaepernick, quarterback, San Francisco 49ers, off your board, pick 5, round 7, followed by Ben Tate, son of a gun. I drafted Arian Foster. I wanted to get Ben Tate in round 7. He goes 6 picks in front of me to Steven Sparks. Next, Vernon Davis, tight end off your board, James Jones, Tony Gonzalez, Mike Wallace, and then because it's a rookie league, I go grab Tavon Austin, who I've gotten every single fantasy league I own this year. Tavon Austin is on my team. Round 7, a little early, but I'm telling you, this guy is explosive. We don't know anything about Tavon Austin. We're getting ready to find out, Hank. We're getting ready to find out. If you watched last week's preseason game, he ran a kick return back or a punt return back, 80-some yards. The dude is lightning quick. He's like a little water bug, so fast. Anyway, we hope that works out. It's a rookie league. We'll roll the dice there. Next pick, Andre Brown. That wraps up round 7. Hank, anything staring at you? I really like the Eric Decker pick there. Ben Tate, again, really cost me there around 7. Anything else?
Well, I think the Ben Tate, the handcuffing has started.
Yep.
And so, you know, everybody's trying to figure that out. And, you know, to steal it away, you know, Steven is planning on the bad news for Arian Foster. So, I mean, I think that, you know, that could be huge to get a starting running back right there.
Absolutely. Also interesting, Tony Gonzalez and Vernon Davis, both really 2 top 5 tight ends. They go in round 7. If you don't get the Jimmy Grahams or the Gronkowski you can wait on, and even the Jason Witten, you can get a Tony Gonzalez or Vernon Davis in round 7. That tells me let's wait on tight end until middle of the rounds, round 7, because if you can get somebody of that caliber, good job well done.
I can see where this is heading.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue on here. Round 8. We go first pick of round 8. Stevie Johnson goes off your board, and the reason I'm laughing, you'll find out here in 2 short rounds. Actually, this round.
Ladies
Stevie
and
Johnson goes off the board, first pick, round 8, followed by. This is where my draft kind of gets a little sketchy, Hank. Not as sketchy as yours, as we soon find out. But Ronnie Hillman, he's the running back for Denver. You know, they pencil him in as the starter. He's got fumble issues too. They've actually. During practice this week, I've heard they moved Ronnie Hillman to 3rd string, and they put Monte Ball up there because Hillman fumbled 2 times last weekend.
Right.
So he's my round 8 pick. I know we're talking about a little bit about flyers here. You try to get depth for your team, but a little worried about Ronnie Hillman in round 8. Next pick, Jermichael Finley, 3rd pick, round 8, followed by Kenny Britt, Sidney Rice, Bryce Brown, another handcuff there. Josh Gordon goes in round 8. I really like that pick. Followed by Fred Jackson, who's the backup to your C.J. Spiller. But Fred Jackson, I really think he's shot. I don't think you need to get him if you've got C.J. Spiller. Just let him go. Jared Cook, another tight end, followed by Vic Ballard. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the pick that really set off just a firework explosion during our draft. My man sitting across from me, a brilliant fantasy mind, selects Dennis Pitta with the 11th pick in round 8. And I don't know if you guys know much about Dennis Pitta, but about a month and a half ago, the poor fella tore his ACL, so he was out for the season.
I think it's his hip.
Yes, you're right. It was his hip flexor.
I know more about Dennis Pitta now than I would like to know.
Oh, and so Hank goes up there with a lot of confidence and when he puts his sticker up on the board, I do the announcing, and I announce Dennis Pitta. So beer cans start flying. You know, the booze are hurled right in Hank's direction. It was just a fabulous 3 minutes of just fun because I got to experience it the week before, Hank.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Can you walk us through this Dennis Pitta selection?
Well, I got to tell you, it was an embarrassing moment. in you know, when you're sitting in these, I don't know if many people have the opportunity to do these fantasy drafts the way we do. I'm with 11 of my closest friends.
Right.
So it is no holds barred. You know, I'm not sitting in front of a computer. I'm not online. This is people that I have known for my entire life.
Yes.
So when that Dennis Pitta sticker hit that board, it was people wanted to hurt me down to their soul, and I struggled. I mean, I got to tell you, and we'll talk about this on the next pick. I was on tilt. I could not control myself because of what happened at that time. I got to applaud all of you on how you got into my head because it was unprecedented. Half of y'all turned into medical examiners because you were like, "It's a hip, it's the hip." Oh, it was embarrassing.
I remember hearing, "My eyes are burning,
Yes.
my eyes are burning." I must have said that 12 times after you put that label up there because I could not believe what I had just witnessed. Anyway, it was a wonderful 3 minutes of fun, as I mentioned. You handled it well, but I remember staring at your face when I announced Pitta.
It's like somebody stole a puppy from me.
Yes, I mean, just the look on your face was complete and utter horror. Terror was all over your face because you knew you had made a bad selection. But anyway, good job. Round 8. Let's move on to round 9. Next up, first pick, round 9, Alshon Jeffrey. I expect pretty good things for Alshon Jeffrey. Brandon Marshall going to be getting a lot of coverage there in Chicago. Jeffrey, third-year wide receiver. This is normally when they show. Right. Good pick there. Bilal Powell. We talked about him, Hank. Now, okay, you're trying to get off tilt. The Pitta selection happened around 8. You immediately have to take another pick. Like
it was tough.
4 minutes later, right?
Minutes?
Yeah.
I think Will, on purpose, quickly put those selections up there to get me back on the clock.
Right, so Bilal Powell, tell me about Bilal there.
Well, I don't like Chris Ivory. I don't like him. I think that he will be there for 3 weeks and be out. And so I wanted another starting back. If I could, this is a reach. You know, the bad news is the Jets are not good, and so even if I get the starting back for the Jet, I don't know if I want him.
Right.
So I got to tell
depth,
you, for depth, I'm riding a wave that I don't want to be on right now. Okay, and it ended up crashing on Bilal Powell.
Pitta, all about Bilal Powell. Bilal Powell just takes the punishment from the previous Pitta pick, right?
Right, that's it. And I know I've got a few minutes now to compose myself, maybe drink a beer, take some time, and then this write-in comes. Who couldn't find the sticker? And this is what upset me too.
Next pick, exactly. With our first write-in pick of the day, there's a sticker was in there. But Jeremy, my brother, who I said was probably the worst draft we've ever seen in the history of fantasy football, selects the Detroit third running back. How do you pronounce his name, Hank? Jaquay Bell. Jaquay Bell goes off the board round 9. Still a lot of good wide receivers on the board. There's still some good running backs, and he goes with the third string Detroit running back off his board. I think he was maybe affected by your Dennis Pitta selection as well.
I think so too. But as you'll see in later rounds, he really needed some backs.
Next up off the board, now great pick here, round 9. So our guy, Jay Caldwell, always seems to wait on quarterbacks. He did it again. He gets Tony Romo, round 9, his starting quarterback. Great value, round 9, Hank.
Yeah, it was. It
awesome
really
pick.
was.
Owen Daniels next, followed by Golden Tate, Bernard Pierce, that's the backup to Ray Rice there. Anquan Bolden, good value, round 9. Mike Williams, who I love in Tampa Bay this year, round 9, great pick. Lance Moore, another New Orleans Saints goes. And then I select Vincent Brown, San Diego Chargers wide receiver, round 9. Hey, man, I like him this year. I think he'll probably end up being number 1. You were talking about Phillip Rivers. This has kind of got to be Phillip's year. If they're going to do anything, he's going to have to throw to Vincent Brown.
Absolutely.
Next pick off the board, Chris Givens in St. Louis, who I really like this year. This round 9, except for the Bell pick, dude, this thing is solid as they come. I love what happened in round 9 for our league. Everybody, Davey Drives a Hummer 2013. Great job, round 9. Round 10 here, we'll fly through it. Antonio Gates, tight end, goes off the board there, followed by probably my worst pick of the draft. I choose Isaac Redmond, round 10. I know that the Pittsburgh Le'Veon Bell's out for 6 to 7 weeks, I think, and so I gamble here. It might be Dwyer, it might be Redmond, but to be quite honest, who wants either of them? You know, maybe for depth, kind of like your Bilal Powell pick.
Right.
Maybe it's Redmond. Who knows? I grab him in round 10. whatever. Jonathan Stewart, we now find out he's on the PUP list, so he goes in round 10. He's on somebody's bench for 6 to 7 weeks. Danny Woodhead next. That's the backup San Diego to your Ryan Matthews goes there in round 10. Miles Austin, Michael Floyd, Michael Vick. First backup quarterback off the board goes in round 10, followed by Zach Stacy, Kimbrell Tompkins, Jonathan Dwyer, the other Pittsburgh running back, Brandon Pettigrew, tight end, off the board to you, Hank, in round 10.
I obviously needed a tight end. I mean, Pitta wasn't going to do it, and I looked at everybody that was left. I like the fact that he's on Detroit's team. Matthew Stafford's going to be thrown to him. I know they have another tight end, Schaefer, but I do feel like Pettigrew's going to get some balls. So it's not going to be my strongest position, but I feel I had to redeem myself.
Sure. You needed to get Pitta to taste out of your mouth quickly.
I did.
And so you draft another tight end in round 10. Not bad. Robert Turbin goes off the board. Last pick of round 10. I remember booing Mr. Rowland for this pick. Robert Turbin, I mean, he's Marshawn Lynch's backup. Not bad, but round 10, I just thought. And plus, there's this other dude now in Seattle that they drafted, Christine Michelle or something like that might take Turbin's role. So
right.
Who knows? A little early there for Mr. Turbin. Next pick, Toby Gerhardt. Another backup goes to Mr. Rowland.
I remember the boos on that one, too.
This one has started falling apart for our first round picker here, Will Rowland. Next pick, Eli Manning. You go backup quarterback here in Eli, round 11, Hank.
I needed to make sure that, if Peyton goes down, I wanted to have some sort of depth back there, and Eli is as consistent as any backup you'll have. So if I would have, kind of like we talked about before, if I would have gone a different direction and been able to guarantee that I get Eli there, I probably would have made a couple different picks. Sure. But, he's on my bench.
Would you have changed the Pitta pick?
I wish I would have.
Next up, following Eli, was Jaquez Rogers, Cordero Patterson. That's that wide receiver from Minnesota, rookie off your board.
Right.
Again, we're a rookie keeper. Phillip Rivers goes next as the backup to LT, who was here last week. LeGarrette Blount, didn't even know he was still in the league, but he goes in team pick 6, round 11. Ruben Randall, Seahawks defense. First defense off the board, round 11 goes to Russell Coley, followed by Pierre Thomas, Mohamed Sanu, who I expect pretty good things from out of Cincinnati. And then I go, again, we're trying to get depth for our running backs. Michael Bush, not too excited about the pick, but at this time I'm just looking for depth.
Right.
Next pick, Sean Green wraps up round 11. Nothing too exciting there, so let's move on to round 12. Andy Dalton, first pick, round 12. I get Ryan Broyles. We're talking about the Detroit offense. Calvin Johnson going to get a lot of coverage. Ryan Broyles, number 2 there.
Right.
Maybe he sees some touches.
Sure.
Interesting pick here. The New England tight end, Zach Sudfeld. We talked about him last week, Hank. He lasts till round 12. You think there's value there around 12?
Well, I do, because I think when Gronkowski comes back, I think he's still going to get some balls. And if he gets in that Aaron Hernandez thing like we talked about,
could be
I mean, he could get a ton of balls, and he's proven that he can catch.
No doubt, no doubt. Also, I think he's a rookie, and so that was the rookie pick for this rookie keeper there.
Right.
49ers defense goes off the board, and then we see a kicker going round 12. Stephen Gostkowski. Remember what we try to say here at the Fantasy Formula. Save the kickers for the last round, y'all. There's value that you can get in round 12, 13, and 14. Don't pick your kickers to the last round. Man, that was a bad pick. Jay Cutler goes next. Bears defense, followed by Tyler Eifert. Love this guy, Cincinnati. He's a rookie as well. Emmanuel Sanders comes up in the 9th hole, 12th round. Jonathan Franklin, running back, Green Bay there. Joseph Randle goes to you. Now, tell me about Joseph Randle. He's a Dallas running back backup, right?
Right, he's a backup. He's a rookie. He's a rookie backup. And, not knowing what's going to happen with Murray, I mean, obviously he's there. If he ends up getting in, it satisfied my rookie. It satisfied a backup,
Sure.
A backup running back. So I just took a flyer, needed a rookie. There he was.
The word in their camp is that he is got a tremendous skill set, that he's got talent.
Right.
He just needs to see the field. So that was his pick there. The last pick of round 12 was Panthers defense. Rolling right into round 13 here, we go Greg Olsen, tight end, followed by defense from you. Oh, this was kind of funny at our draft. Remember this?
Oh, yeah.
Hank selects the Texans defense, round 13. A couple picks prior, our friend Will Rowland, who selected the Panthers defense, was looking for Texas. Is that right? Texas. The defense of Texas. Well, as you guys know, there is no team called Texas, so he scavenged through a lot of labels.
He was shuffling through the labels.
Shuffling through and came up with the Panthers. So you get the Texans D. I like the Texans D this year. Ben Roethlisberger goes next, followed by Denarius Moore, Malcolm Floyd, and Jordan Cameron, tight end Cleveland, rookie, off your board there. Rams defense next, who I really like this year, Rams D. Marcel Reese, Roy Halou, Packers D, and I grabbed my tight end Kyle Rudolph. I got him penciled in for a top 10 tight end. I get him in round 13. Like the value. I just hope Ponder can get him the ball. Ponder likes to check down, so maybe Rudolph will get a lot of looks. Bengals defense goes off next. Round 14, Nile Davis. He's a rookie running back for Kansas City. Goes first pick, round 14. I grabbed the Cowboys defense. I think I'm going to drop him, Hank. I don't really like the Cowboys defense at this time. Tequila was flowing. I could see out of one eye. Just grabbed the label and stuck it up there. Next up, we see some kickers go. Matt Prater, Matt Bryant. We got Rashad Jennings sightings here in round 14. Blair Walsh, kicker. Phil Dawson, kicker. Josh Brown, kicker. Patriots D, Browns D. You get an interesting pick here, A.J. Jenkins in Kansas City. Right. I like this value. Tell me about A.J.
Well, I was just looking at who could possibly be hitting the field, and he was on the top of my list. And so, already having my defense, knowing I'm going to take the kicker last, I said, this is my time to take this guy right here. So, a couple things happen. He's hitting the field a lot this year.
You guys, A.J. Jenkins, if you don't know his name, he was at San Francisco just recently, got traded to Kansas City for John Baldwin. He's quick. He's from Ohio State, right. Very fast. They're looking to team him up, Dwayne Bowe one side, A.J. Jenkins on the other side. Could be a deep threat. Could be some great value round 14. And we wrap up Davey Drives a Hummer 2013 fantasy draft in round 15. LaMichael James goes off the board, the San Francisco running back. Looks like he might move to number 3. He was number 2. Kendall Hunter has replaced him now. You pick Dan Bailey, kicker, Dallas, can't go wrong. Ryan Lindell, kicker, Alex Henry. We got Broncos off the board. Kendall Hunter goes. Marcus Wheaton, Mike Glennon. Nothing really exciting here. That one guy in Seattle, that Christine Michael or whatever, right. He goes in round 15. Could be solid there. Who knows? Marcus Lattimore off the board. South Carolina Gamecock coming off the big injury. I grabbed Garrett Hartley, the kicker for New Orleans, because you know why? We like New Orleans Saints here on Fantasy Formula. Last pick, Mr. Irrelevant, it was Justin Tucker. Hank, that wraps up the entire league. It was a fun night. Just give me a brief synopsis of your team. Do you think you're playoff caliber?
Well, if you go at Chad East, and this is every year, it's incredibly, at the end of the night, you're in terrible shape, first of all. But it's incredible to hear Mr. East come up and dissect your team and really tell you what the meat of the team is. And I think in years past, we've really found out that if he declares you as a playoff team, then you are not worthy of the playoffs. So I was not declared a playoff team. So I'll probably win the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
But I do like my team. Okay, I know the pick when I was on tilt there and it was bad, but I do like my back. If my backs end up producing the way that I hope that they will, that's my question mark. I mean, my receivers, solid. Yes. Quarterback, solid. I think that if I get Bush and Matthews running the ball and running it well, I think I've got a solid team.
Let's review it. And Hank, I'm looking at it right now. C.J. Spiller, Reggie Bush. Let's quarterback, Peyton Manning. Running back, C.J. Spiller, Reggie Bush, Ryan Matthews. That's not bad. Wide receivers, Marcus Colston. Who am I forgetting another wide receiver?
Hilton.
T.Y. Hilton.
Decker.
Good stuff there, Hank. Good stuff. You got your tight end, Pettigrew, and you got your defense
Houston.
Was Houston. Man, that's pretty solid, Hank. I take that back. I do think you might make the playoffs, which means now that you will make the playoffs. And let's
make room.
make room. Next, let's review my team real quick. I think I'm playoff caliber, Hank. We'll breeze through it here. We had Arian. Let's go starting. Matthew Stafford, quarterback. Running backs, Arian Foster, Shane Vereen. That's a little worrisome there. But we make it up with wide receivers with Calvin Johnson, Vincent Jackson, Roddy White, and Vincent Brown. I love those wide receivers.
Wow.
Very good. I got Kyle Rudolph, tight end, defense stinks, and kicker Garrett Hartley. So I'm probably going to need to make a couple moves, waiver wire, maybe a trade or two to get some better running back help. But if Arian Foster can stay healthy with Calvin Johnson, Vincent Jackson, and Roddy White, and Matt Stafford, whoo.
Yeah, you're definitely going wide receiver as your flex at that point, but still,
No doubt. So, great job, Davey Drives a Hummer. Hank, good job reviewing. Let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor.
Hi, I'm 2012 Greater Hickory Kia Classic champion Fred Funk. Please join us for the 11th annual Greater Hickory Kia Classic at Rock Barn, October 14th through the 20th. Watch me defend my title against a fantastic field of Champions Tour players. Weekly grounds badges are just $50. Individual tickets are $20 per day. Get your tickets today at the GreaterHickoryKiaClassic.com.
Hank, and we're back. Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Formula, the #1 fantasy podcast in Western North Carolina. And before we continue the show, let me tell you how you can reach us. Please reach us at our website, www.themesh.tv. Check us out and check all the other fine shows that are on the Mesh as well. Or you can reach us at voicemail line 828-619-0048. Leave your questions, leave your comments. We'll get right back to you. Or maybe an easier way, email us, info@themesh.tv. You can also find us on Facebook. You can also find us on Twitter. And as I mentioned earlier, you can find us on the front page of iTunes, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, check us out. A lot of ways to reach us. This show just keeps growing and growing. Hank, as we continue, an interesting thing when it comes to fantasy football, you have a lot of choices on which site to really post your league, input your draft, communicate with your league members and all this stuff. The three main ones are Yahoo, ESPN, and CBS Sportsline. Out of those three, I know you've got a couple teams on a couple various sites. Tell me a little bit about the site that you like the best and why, and just give me some information about these sites.
I like CBS. I think that they've done the most to accommodate their fan base. If you look at it, we had, after our draft, CBS immediately takes our team, gives you a report card, ranks who had the worst draft, who had the best draft, and kind of, has fun with it. The other thing that I like is so many of us have moved to mobile devices. CBS is streamlined between your iPad, your iPhone, your Android, whatever it is, and you can drop, add, trade anything from your phone. And so it makes it so much nicer. So right now, I'd say CBS is at the top of their game and are doing the most for their fantasy users. Yahoo, I'd say, is probably at the bottom of the game. I think Yahoo, for them, is trying to be nice about it, and they're just trying to get it to the average player. Mm-hmm. And I think more of the average player is coming to Yahoo because it's easy to set up a league. It's nothing fancy. You can do it really quick. But I do like CBS on top. I think Yahoo's very good. I think they're changing their format to make it more accommodating. Mm-hmm. But I would say that the die-hard fantasy players are going to go to CBS or ESPN.
I'm with you, Hank. Completely agree. Until this year, I thought ESPN held the edge. What is it called when you're actually keeping up stat tracker, that stuff? I thought ESPN's was the best, and all the things they did. But this year, as you said, man, CBS has really upped their game. The report cards, the analysis of the draft, the way that it's so easy from mobile device to mobile device, the little comments like your league feed, right, the front homepage, boom, your league feed, everything that's happening from ad drops to post. Everything is right there. You don't have to go to another spot. It's right there in front of you. So, yeah, CBS really upping their game. ESPN's slightly behind, and Yahoo still nice, but not quite as good. They're getting there. So, in our opinion, Fantasy Formula, if you have a choice on which site to use, our advice would be go with CBS Sportsline. You can't lose. You got to pay. Now, you got to pay a fee. I think Yahoo might be free.
It still is.
Yeah, but you've got to pay for CBS Sportsline, and I think you have to pay for ESPN.
I think you do too. I think Yahoo's the only one that's free.
Yeah, so I guess that makes sense for your average users. Yahoo, they use it, but for the people that have had a league for a while and want a little bit of extra data and information to make it more fun, you pay a little money, but when you break it down, it might be $125. Everybody throws $5-10 in a kitty, and it pays for it. Right. Well worth the money.
Well worth it.
So our bet, CBS Sportsline. All right, Hank, we'll move into our next segment. This is pretty fun. This is the Fantasy Formula email bag, or we call it the fun bag. And what I'm going to grab in this fun bag real quick, Hank, and I'm going to hit you with our first question. This question comes from a listener here in, where are they? Oh, this is Michael Willard of Hickory, North Carolina. You familiar with Michael?
I don't know if I am.
Yeah, Michael, a good fella, and a big football fan, really loves Alabama football, right?
All right.
So his question, since he's an Alabama roll tide roll kind of guy, his question is, Eddie Lacy is a rookie, but it is looking like he will get the starting nod. Considering Rodgers and the Packers offense, how soon should I be looking to draft Eddie Lacy?
Well, I think, the good thing is we were able to address it in our draft a little bit because Will Rowland took him, I believe, 4th, 5th round. Now, we've seen Eddie Lacy going 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th. If he makes it to the 6th, that's kind of obscene, but I think 4th, 5th round is where you're going to see him. I think you're getting his value at those rounds. I think before you're probably reaching a little bit, but he is climbing. And with, the information you're talking about, who knows what's going to happen in the Packers. I mean, he could end up being a great pick there because they're certainly going to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball, and they can't pack the box if they're going to throw the ball. So sure. Eddie Lacy might end up being a great running back and a great pick this year.
And let's don't forget about goal line, too. He's going to get every goal line carry. So, yeah, Hank, I agree. Eddie Lacy, draft him in the 4th, latest 5th, but you can definitely take him in the 4th and feel very confident about it. Next pick comes from Ben from, Wilkesboro. Ben asks, what is the best draft format? Should I use the snake, random draft, auction, or what? All right, Ben, this is what I would say. I've only done snake drafts where, first round, then it snakes around, so the last pick gets the first pick of round 2 and all that stuff. There are other formats, Hank, that you draft the one spot, you get to draft the number 1 position every time, and that just seems unfair to me. So if you're, Ben, it sounds like you've got this type of draft. That sucks, Ben. Get out of this thing. My suggestion would be, if it's a live draft, snake all day long, where the first pick and the 12th pick, it snakes back around where 12th pick gets the first pick. Do that one for a live draft. If it's an online draft and you can do an auction, as LT described to us last week, the auction online sounds like a blast. So in my opinion, if it's a live draft, snake format. If it's an online draft, let's try the auction. It looks like a lot of fun. Thanks for the email, Ben. Next up, Hank, I'm going to hit you with this one. This one comes from Drew of Governor's Mansion, Raleigh. Okay, he says, Hank, I drafted both Cam Newton and Joe Flacco as my backup. For week 1, Cam goes against Seattle in their defense, while Flacco goes against Denver's defense. Should I try to find a third option off the waiver wire or start Cam or Joe Flacco? What do you think?
Drew, I think that's a good analysis. I mean, I think you're looking at it correctly. You got to figure out who they're playing, what defense they're playing, and I think you're going up against 2 tough ones. I still like Cam. I mean, Cam is a front of the draft kind of quarterback, and you're going to get a lot of mobility out of him. Although they're playing Seattle, you don't know. I mean, we're still kind of shaking it out here. Seattle's defense is certainly going to be good, but they've given up 10 points every preseason game this far. So, we don't know what to expect of them. I'd still start Cam and hold Flacco in the back.
Yeah.
So I would hold Cam. I mean, I would start Cam and see what ends up happening because you're hoping that he's going to run a lot and that they're going to get off to a good start.
Absolutely, Hank. And if you pick Cam in the 3rd or 4th round, you don't want to. It's week 1. You know? You don't bench your guys you pick early.
Right.
Go ahead and start them. Let's just see what happens. So I completely agree. Start Cam all day there, Drew. Next up, we've got a question, and I'll take this one, Hank. It's regarding Arian Foster, and since I selected Arian Foster, I'll address this. This one's from Mike from China Grove. All right, Mike, question. With Arian Foster looking gimpy, would I do better trying to score Ben Tate in a later round and select a stronger back in the early going? Or is Foster really going to be ready to go in week 1? Anyway, your question is very confusing to me, Mike, but I think what you're trying to say is, yes, if you get Arian Foster early, you got to get him first round. Grab Ben Tate. You normally need to get him in round 5 or 6. I'll try to wait till round 6, and I got snooked. So if you get Arian Foster, definitely try to get Ben Tate. He is worth – I think the value of Arian Foster is better than drafting like your DeMarco Murray or give me another Steven Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Grab the Arian Foster round 1. Just try to get Ben Tate round 5 or 6. Do that in place of passing on Foster and grabbing Steven Jackson. There's a no-brainer about that.
Can I ask you a question, though? If you had the number 2 pick, 3 pick, 4 pick, and I don't know if he's considering this, but if he had the 2, 3, 4, would you have gone back with Arian Foster?
I think I'd have let him slide, man.
Okay.
I really do. I think it would, because our draft, how it went, all those guys I had before Arian Foster.
Okay.
Now, granted, I had Foster before Rodgers, quarterback.
Right.
And I think I had Foster before Alfred Morris, who went before. But all the other guys, I was drafted before Foster.
So this guy, if he's sitting at a 3 pick, maybe there are other options.
Absolutely. If you're at the end of the draft, like where I was at 11, I'd still draft the Fosters in front of the Steven Jacksons and the Stephen Ridleys and all that stuff, and I still go get Ben Tate.
Absolutely.
So, Mike, now your question is making a little bit more sense for me now that Hank's explained it. Thank you, Hank, and thank you, Mike. All right, last question of the day, brother. It's coming to you, Hank. Does Steven Jackson really have anything left in the tank for Atlanta? I mean, come on. The guy is like 50. That's from Pat. That's Pat from Boone. Hank, can you address this one?
Pat, I love the question. I love how it was phrased. I got to tell you, if there's any team that can breathe life in a dead old man, it's Atlanta, because they've done it with Tony Gonzalez every year. So I like Steven Jackson. At St. Louis, I don't feel like he was hitting his potential. He's got weapons around him now, and I think that he's going to have a good year. I think, they got both those great receivers. They got Tony Gonzalez. Matt Ryan's going to be good. I say he has a good year. I like him.
I love Steven Jackson too, Hank. He could be your RB1 or your RB2. He's fallen to early round second. He still got some juice left. He does. And with that offensive line, as you mentioned, look for him. I'm thinking 10 to 12 touchdowns. If Michael Turner could, Steven Jackson's going to do it this year. So, yeah, good job. This just in, breaking news. Hank, we got one last question that just hit my text here. This is from Paige Fox. I think that's Addison's wife. She says, Chad, please get Addison back in the studio so you can get him the hell out the house. Hank, do you hear that? Okay, so Paige, we will try to get Addison back into the studio next week because I know he's getting on your last nerve at home, Paige. But
that means he's here.
I know. So Paige, I don't know what we're going to do about this. Maybe we can set him up in another studio.
Closed room.
Yeah, exactly. But guys, what a great show. I'm glad you were here to review our Davey Drives a Hummer 2013 draft. I hope it helps you in your selections. We did learn a few things. Do not draft Dennis Pitta. Do not draft Dennis Pitta with any pick. And if you can get Arian Foster late in first round, you scoop him up. Hank, anything you want to say before we leave today, buddy?
Man, it's just been a blast. I always appreciate being here. It's always fun.
Hank, thank you so much for coming. And don't forget, guys, at info@themesh.tv, it's one word. It's Hank or Addison. All you need to do is let us know who you want to be second mic on the fantasy formula. And by God, if it's Hank, I'm going to try to get him in here. With that being said, Magic Hands, good looking out. Good work today. Hank, good seeing you. Fantasy Formula, we'll see you next week. Until then, peace.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.